Hello, and I hope you guys have had a happy new year. If you still have your Christmas decorations up, take them down. Your house looks like an embarrassment. I personally want to thank the TCU Horned Frogs for winning the Rose Bowl and flushing any credibility this college football season has down the freaking toilet. Somebody explain to me how two teams can finish a season undefeated. That doesn't even happen in the Barclays Premier League. TCU beat Wisconsin 21-19, and it was part of a gigantic ostrich egg that the Big Ten conference laid on New Year's Day. Wisconsin, losers. Penn State, losers. Michigan State, losers. Northwestern, losers. Michigan, biggest losers of the day. I hate Michigan. I remember calling the Big Ten the conference that can't count. Now I can call it the conference that can't win a game on New Year's Day. So once again, instead of playing for a national championship, TCU will take their trophy, enjoy the number 2 ranking that they'll get at the end of the season, and the rich, arrogant scumbags of the BCS can have their championship game. Sorry, but the winner of the BCS title game will have an asterisk in my book. And BCS honks, I don't want to hear any commentary about how the best 2 teams got in and the system got it right. They got it wrong once again. There were 3 undefeated teams going into the bowl season, but 2 are from your bowl cartel shyster conferences. This will not be a legitimate championship. Anyone who thinks different should be speared by an oncoming linebacker. If you want to watch a real championship game, tune into ESPN2 on Friday, where Delaware will be playing Eastern Washington. The 1AA championship is legitimate. The 1A is mythical. Once again, some religious jerk-off has decided to induce some fear-mongering and foretell the apocalypse. Harold Camping of Family Radio, based in Oakland, has predicted the world will end on May 21st of this year. I just want to point out that this same old kook predicted the end back in September of 1994, 19 years ago. I mean, he predicted Doomsday would be September 6, 1994, back in 1992. So I am really putting the same amount of stock into this call that I did in Y2K and this guy's call, which is not much. So when May 22nd comes around, I'll laugh in his face. This is how I feel about the coming of Christ. He's coming when he wants to, and no biblical mathematical formula will call it. Okay, old fart? Speaking of old farts, so Brett Favre has decided that he's going to retire. After hearing this hillbilly jerk me around and the sporting public around for 2 years, I have a hard time believing him this time. I'll tell you what, Brett. You go one whole NFL offseason, preseason, regular season, postseason without gracing the sidelines or taking a snap for the next 3 seasons, then I'll start taking your decision more seriously. Hey, I got a whopper of a story to tell at work. The other day I'm putting out seafood, and this lady walks up to me and asks me a rather strange question. Her husband was sick, and he didn't want soup. So what should she make him? I could tell that this was a youngling who hasn't been married for that long. I don't know about you, but usually when I'm sick, I go straight for the Campbell's or Top Ramen in my cupboard. She also added that he wants to eat some Jack in the Box. Seriously, you're going to get him some fast trash when he's sick? I suggested soup to her and some orange juice to drink down. I should have suggested some cold medicine on aisle 8. Also suggested to her a backbone that she apparently left at home. Seriously, you're going to give him Jack in the Crack when he's sick? He's sick. You're not. You own his ass until he gets better. Give him the soup or let the guy starve to death. Also, why are you asking me these kind of questions? Have people gotten completely intellectually lazy in an age where information is just one mouse click away? Really? The year 2011 will be a special benchmark year for me. It's the year I celebrate 30 years as a gamer. I got my start early as I can recall back in 1981. My first system was the Intellivision. I'm sure those who have seen James Rolfe's video on the INTV will be surprised that I could use that kind of controller at the age of 4. So for every video, I'll be inducting 2 games into my Hall of Fame. This episode, the first 2 inductees are a couple of addicting games on the Sega Saturn. The first is Virtua Fighter Kids, a great game to play by yourself, but even better to play with friends. An old pal of mine and I can attest to this. A fast, furious, cutesy version of the arcade smash Virtua Fighter 2, featuring all the characters with high-pitched voices, big heads, and new remixes of each stage from Virtua Fighter 2. Along with the addicting gameplay is the ability to preset button combinations to execute special moves with just one button. Also, the single-player mode can be randomized or fixed, so you no longer have to play loud in the first round if you don't want to. Don't let the animation fool you. This was a legitimate and fun fighter game. The second inductee is a game that I was hooked on in the summer of 1997, Dark Savior. If you played Landstalker on the Sega Genesis, Lady Stalker on the Super Famicom, or Time Stalkers on the Sega Dreamcast, then the gameplay of Dark Savior will be familiar to you. The game starts Garion, along with his wisecracking Snakebird Jack. Garion is a bounty hunter who captured a monster named Balan, and he's on his way to Jailer's Island to be brought to justice. While Garion sleeps, a mishap happens. Balan escapes from his cage and goes on a rampage on the cargo ship Sea Bandits. There are 5 stories in the game, also known as parallels. Which one you play depends on what happens on Sea Bandits. The first parallel involves Garion trying to kill Balan after he escapes his ship. It's a wild goose chase, and Garion gets some secrets on how to kill him as well. The second is after Balan is killed, and we come to find out that the warden of Jailer's Island is a power-hungry fool being bent on becoming the strongest warden in all the universe. There's also some stories of rebellion, finding rings, statues, and fortune-telling. The subplot is Garion gets romantically involved with a Lavian ninja named Kay, and you'll see her for the 4 parallels of the game. The third parallel is somewhat similar to first, where Balan escapes Sea Bandits. Balan is killed on the island, but that's not the end of the story. JJ, a maracas-toting banana inflatable guy, if you ever see him, he looks like an inner tube. He conjures up the plot to overthrow the jail and releases a few prisoners held in carbon freeze. After JJ is bested, Garion makes a startling discovery that segues into Parallel 4. The fourth parallel is one of the hardest in the game. It begins with Garion seeing himself in carbon freeze for murder. In each of the 3 parallels, Garion gets whacked out on jalapeno juice and almost kills a child who is visiting his father. Jack explains a scientific idea of a parallel universe, sort of like the show Fringe. In the alternate universe, K. Blue Roses couldn't stop Garion from killing the child, and he was sentenced to carbon freezing. Once realized that another Garion exists, the good Garion gets weakened and is on a quest for Kaiser, this game-saving snakebird, explains what has happened. I just want to note to Damon Bruce, that's how I got my phone handle Kaiser. Garion's 4 bounty hunter companions come to the island to find him. Garion has to save his friends, kill his evil twin, and get off Jailer's Island before it crumbles in the ocean. The huge challenge of the 4th parallel is that 1, you're on a clock, and 2nd, you cannot save, making you finish the parallel in 1 sitting. The 5th parallel occurs when Garion is killed by Balan on Sea Bandits. After Garion is bested, he's in a ring and in a marathon of death, kind of a street fighting limbo. It is a gauntlet of battles where finishing the road unlocks a 2-player mode in Parallel 5. So now that I've gotten all the parallels out of the way, Dark Savior has elements of one-on-one fighting, puzzlers, platforms, and the RPG. Similar to the Oasis series or Kingdom Hearts. This was a game that I played to death in August of 1997, beating all but 1 parallel. I love the second story involving the romance of Garion and Kay. I enjoyed the soundtrack because I'm a sucker for video game music. The replay value was off the chart even after I beat all 4 parallels. I found myself going back to the second story every time. While repetitive, the stories kept me coming back for more. So those are the first 2 inductees of my Gamers Hall of Fame, and that's the end of this video. So I will see you another time.